Hello, having a day off today, so rather than my sexy waders, you're going to see me in a normal pair of clothing for a change. I'm taking this opportunity to take a drive over to a customer's house that I installed a couple of ponds 2 years ago. I didn't get a chance to do a follow-up video last year, not at the right time of year anyway, and I wanted to try and catch it when the plants were looking at their best. And the weather's not too bad today, so I thought I'd jump in my rattly old Subaru and wander down here to come and have a look. Now, no, Mark and Natalie, they'll probably be hard at work doing some gardening in the back garden. So some of you may have seen this video, but if not, I'll put the link in the description below. There was an existing pond here a couple of years ago, and the brief for this was to reline it and in the process make it a little bit deeper, increase the volume and to create a feature. And I think this one worked very nicely. It was a labour of love. I had Dave working with me. And it's always nice to come back and to see how these things are establishing. Such a photogenic pond this though, especially with the lovely garden structure behind. But look at all the plants. We've got here a nice mixture of iris. We've got some iris versicolor, some iris labiata, variegata, beautiful in flower here. Some snowdrift, and then some yellow flag pseudochorus. So we've got 4 different species of iris. Some pondateria, pickerel weed coming through nicely, already looking very established. And then a few other little unusual plants, which hopefully are going to establish themselves this year. We've got some butamus, a flowering rush. This is one that I haven't actually seen in flower in a pond for years, so it'll be nice if this one takes off. This has got some lovely, bright, sort of luminous pink clusters of flowers. And then some arrowhead. Sagittaria, here we go, these fantastic leaves. Now again, these will have some lovely clusters of white sort of pom-pom flowers. They didn't flower last year apparently, but they're looking nicely established this year, so fingers crossed. This is the first water lily flowers I've seen this season. And the koi are looking nice and happy. Now this pond was being filtered by an Awaza Screenomatic 2 140,000, and with a nice big UV and Awaza Bitron. And this is all working very nicely. We're keeping that pond nice and clean. Mark's been doing a good job of regular maintenance. And then all of the pond devices have been powered by this Matsuku timer switch box. Nice and simple, but it all works very effectively. So not only will we work on this koi pond, but behind me there's a nice natural wildlife pond that we also lined and did some work on. So let's check that one out. This is established really nicely. A couple of years ago, this was what I called the bomb crater. It was just a great big hole in the ground where once upon a time there had been a pond. And so the story goes, there were some trees that had blown down behind the fence here, and in the process the root ball had taken out some of the bank and caused problems with the pond. And then since then it was in kind of disrepair and was waiting to have some work done. But this, out of all the jobs I've done over the years, was probably the one that initially was giving me the most sort of headaches in terms of inspiration and thinking about things to do. But the end result here has been fantastic. I mean, testament to Mark and Natalie and their gardening. The established planting they've got around the pond now looks absolutely fantastic, just the second year on. That Gunnera, a wonderful specimen plant. Lots of natives in here, yellow flag iris, some nice ranunculus, little yellow buttercup flowers, water forget-me-nots, and water mint, both very important plants for our native newt population. Marsh marigolds, which have been putting on a lovely display earlier on this spring. And then lots of other wetland plants behind. The Potamogetum crispus, this curdy leaf pondweed, has really established itself nicely in here and is doing a good job at helping to aerate the water and keep it clean and clear. Look at all the damselflies, it's a real hive of activity. You know, very sensibly they've kept some nice stepping stones all the way around the pond so you can get access for maintenance. But I think this, more than any other pond, is something that I've really wanted to see establishing. Fish ponds are lovely, koi ponds are nice, but they're quite a sterile environment. There's not an awful lot going on, and unless you're a lover of fish, it's really just like having a large aquarium, a large fish tank. While something like this, which is natural, all of the emerging plants, the changes that happen through the season, all of the things that just naturally start to grow in the pond, all of that's really exciting to see. And it's so nice to see how nature has very quickly reclaimed this. This is Gunnera manicata, or giant rhubarb. It's a fantastic plant. It's actually banned now in the UK, and it's not something that you can any longer introduce into the pond. Thankfully, this was something that had been put in just before that ban took place, because I think it's a wonderful specimen plant. But it is important that we make sure that it doesn't get anywhere else, and that if bits of this are disposed of, they're disposed of responsibly to prevent it from potentially taking a hold behind in the park and the wetlands. It's a fantastic plant. This is just a mere baby, and the leaves will probably get double this size and twice this height when it's fully grown. Amazing, very prehistoric looking. Now again, I'll include a link in the description below for the construction process of this pond. But essentially there was a huge amount of backfill that had to be done. This was a massive, massive hole, and an awful lot of ground had to be reclaimed. So what we're walking on here originally was just a steep drop down to the bottom of this crater. So a blockwork construction had been created to create the depth and to act as a retainer, and then a huge amount, tons and tons and tons of earth and MOT and hardcore were poured around the back then as a backfill to provide a nice sort of level platform that I could then put the pond liner over the top to create this. So the overflow from the koi pond feeds into this pond, and if you'd seen the original construction of that, and if not, again, you know, check it out, it was quite interesting. But we encountered a few issues with some old drainage pipe that was kind of buried underneath the pond and had to be redirected, and that's been redirected and routed into here as well. So there's a lot of groundwater that ends up into this pond and disappears via another overflow into the park beyond. And that means that this pond is almost always kept well topped up, and it's very rare that it needs to be manually topped up. Water clarity is excellent now. Very little algae in the pond, and that's just testament now to the natural balance and all the plants doing their job of mopping up all of the excess nutrients and helping to outcompete the algae. There's lots of newts in here, lots of dragonfly larvae and water beetles. It's a popular spot for the local foxes, which have been caught on wildlife cameras coming here for a little drink and a play. There's even a badger that comes along. Well, it's always lovely to come back and to see how these ponds are establishing, and this one is pretty much on my doorstep, so it's quite an easy pond to come back to regularly to see how it's doing. And in fact, I shall be working almost next door in a few weeks' time to crack on with a big pond over there, so that's one that I'll video. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Ed from Crystal Clear Aquatics, and I'll see you in the next pond.